Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today for this presentation of Twinmotion. So my name is Martin, I'm product manager on the software. I'm going to be doing a live demonstration of Twinmotion. In the second part, I'm going to be doing a presentation of what's new in this V2 update that Barbara introduced. And then in the third part, we'll come back to GoToWebinar to make a Q&A session together. So first off, what is Twinmotion? Twinmotion is a 3D real-time rendering software built on top of the Unreal Engine, but it's dedicated to architecture. And when I'm saying real-time, it's really real-time. Here is a quick comparison between an image generated with Twinmotion and an image generated with a standard ray tracing software. The first software took around 1 hour to render, and in Twinmotion, it was not a render, it was the quality I had inside my viewport while I was working on the project. Second image, the same idea. The first image took 1 hour and a half to render in a 2K resolution, and then the image on Twinmotion, it was again not a render, it was the quality I had while I was working on my 4K monitor. So it's a completely new way to approach render. You are not anymore just clicking on the render button and go to the coffee machine or come back after lunch to see your render. You are seeing them in real time, and if your client needs some changes, it just takes you a few minutes to make a change. For example, he wants more light on this area, this material needs to be more reflective. It could be done in just a few clicks, and you can send the changes in a minute. So when we designed Twinmotion, our main goal was not only to create a software that creates render really quickly, but it was mainly create a software that is easy to use. So we focus on creating something with a friendly user UI, far away from the tons of settings you have on other rendering software, where sometimes you just tweak one value and the render time double or triple. With Twinmotion, we have created a flat UI, a simple UI with basic slider, a lot of iconography to really understand in a blink of an eye what you are doing. And after that, the main thing that we introduced with Twinmotion was what we call the add-in. The add-in is for both ArchiCAD and Revit, and it allows a direct link between the CAD software and the visualization software. Basically, you are in ArchiCAD, you are in Revit. In just one click, you can synchronize your project with Twinmotion and begin to visualize it in real time right away. And then from Twinmotion, in just one other click, you can immerse yourself into virtual reality. So before Twinmotion, the workflow to take a CAD model to a VR platform was really complex. You have to have dedicated people that know gaming engine, because it's only the gaming engine that create those VR package. So it was really a complex workflow. But now, thanks to Twinmotion, this can be done really easily and really quickly. So let's now switch to Twinmotion. So here we are in Twinmotion, of course. It's just after this synchronization I was talking about. During this synchronization, we do a few things. We first, of course, import all the 3D, all the geometry of the project. We also replace automatically a few things. For example, in Revit and ArchiCAD, you have a basic library of materials, for example. But it's just a basic texture, a basic diffuse texture. And during this synchronization, we automatically replace those basic textures by Twinmotion physically correct materials. And it's the same for the cars, the characters, and the vegetation. Usually working with CAD software, you have some what we call billboard. It's just a basic plane with the shape of a tree. And during this synchronization, we automatically replace all those billboards by Twinmotion trees, which are affected by the weather and the seasons. Talking about that, let's jump into the Nature tab, Weather. So here, as I told you just before, it's really simple. Just two basic sliders. The first one, as you can see by the small icon, is controlling the cloud coverage. So if I start to drag this one here, cloud will appear, and at some point it will rain. which affect automatically all the material of my project. There is nothing to do for that. The second slider here is controlling the season. So we start at the summer with all our green leaves. We are approaching fall, leaves start to fall from tree and get reddish. And then winter is coming. And we also have an automatic occluding system that prevents particles from going in, so it will never rain or snow inside the project, of course. Let's switch to our sunny summer. So while all the tree that you can see on the background here has been automatically replaced during this synchronization, we can of course add tree directly from Twinmotion library. It's just a basic drag and drop from the library to the viewport. I can also create a multi-selection by holding the Ctrl key. And now at each time I will click, I will add one tree from my selection randomly. And because it's in the tree folder, it will take a random rotation and a random scale, so you won't see the repetition. Adding to that, we also have created a vegetation tool that allows you to paint vegetation directly onto your project. You even have an eraser if, for example, this tree is a bit off. So let's get closer. So normally here is supposed to be a small pond, a small area of water. So let's open Twinmotion Material Library, scroll down to the water material, and here I will just drag this one here. Can change the opacity, can change a bit the reflection, for example. Next step for me will be maybe to work a bit on the surrounding over here. So I will come back to the vegetation and landscape folder, rocks. I'll drag this one here, maybe this one on the left, maybe this one over here. Next step will be maybe to add a few plants over the water. So I'll come to the bush section, type lotus, and here I will just drop a few plants over my water, maybe a few one with some flowers as well. And finally, the last touch is in the character folder, animals, and it's just a butterfly. So I think it starts to look pretty good. So now what I can do is go to the media section, image. I will click on the plus here. This will create a new image, a new point of view actually. Let me just adjust my point of view so I will be more focused on my project. I will click on the refresh button to refresh my point of view. And now I can right away come to the export section, select the image 02 we just created together, click on start export. I will send this to my desktop. And by default, it exports the image on a 2K resolution. But with Twinmotion, we can go up to 9K. And here is the image we just generated together in just a few minutes. Back to Twinmotion. Let's just quit the media mode. And what I can do as well is go into the full screen mode. It's actually named the beam motion view. In the beam motion mode, we can have what we call the physics. It actually puts you on the ground, and now I am currently walking on my project at the height of a human being. And it's really an immersive way to discover and to navigate around your project. And if you have a VR headset plugged in, it's just a one push of a button to switch to VR. So what next? Maybe let's switch to drone view, take some altitude and get inside the project. So as you can see, it's a pretty large project. It's an international airport. So if I open up, for example, the statistic panel on the right here, as you can see, we are at 0.2 billion polygons. So as I told you, pretty large project. So let's just switch inside. In Twinmotion, at any moment, we can also change the time of day. So here, by clicking on the small I button, I can change the time and visualize my project up at noon or at sunset. Right now, the space feels a bit empty, so maybe it's time to add some people and bring life. So I'll come back to the library, go to the human section, and here we have a complete library of 2D animated characters. I can simply drag one character, the same as did for the tree, just a basic drag from the library to the viewport. And once he's inside the viewport, I can change, for example, the color presets, so I won't see the repetition if I drag this character a few times. I can change the pose, maybe he's in idle state, maybe he's lying on the ground, or maybe he's even dancing. And maybe he's doing this dance, or maybe he's doing the Gangnam Style dance. I can even switch for the special animation and check if my project is PRM ready. By drag and dropping one character at a time like this, it could be time consuming to populate this whole scene. This is why we have also created a group section. For example, if I select this group of 3 people, at each time I will click, this will randomly add characters from the whole library of Twinmotion. And to add even more animation, we have created a path system. A path system, you can find it into the urban section, character path. Here I will use my pen to create a basic spline. And once I release my tool, people will automatically start spawning on my path. When we designed the software, our main goal was really to create a software easy to use. So we focused our efforts on creating a simple UI. So this UI consists of 3 major panels. The first one on the left is the library. You will find the materials, the vegetation, the characters. We also have what we call the user library that allow you to import your own object, create your own material, and save them directly inside Twinmotion library, so you will have access to them for every future project. The second most important panel is the one at the bottom, is what we call the dock. The dock is basically where you have all the tools, the options, and the settings. For example, here my path of characters is still selected, so I have the option regarding this path. For example, I can change the type, I can change the ethnicity actually. If I switch to Asian, for example, if I have a project in Asia, I can choose to have more Asian people. For the activity, if I switch to travel, people will more likely have some luggage with them. I can even choose the width of my path. Finally, the third panel is the one on the right. Here you have what we call the scene graph, the scene manager. It's basically where you have all the organization of your project. It's same as Photoshop, it's a basic folder system that you can turn on and off. So for this demo, I'll already set up a folder with a few more people. Let's just click on the I button to unhide it. So as you can see, we use this path system to animate a few things inside Twinmotion, like this plane taking off, this one parking, all the characters walking in the project, but we do the same for the cars. So if I just come in front of my project, I will come back to my urban section, vehicle path now. Same as I did with the character, I will use my spline, my tool to create a spline. And once I release my tool, car will automatically start spawning on my path. And here I have the option regarding this specific path, so I can change the lane count, I can change the lane offset, the density of cars, or even the speed of the cars. And of course, at any moment in Twinmotion, we can visualize the project during day, like this, or we can switch to the night. And when the sun comes down, the lights automatically lights up for our cars, for our street light, the light on the interior, but for the context as well. We used to know that architects don't take time to work on the surrounding of their project. This is why we have created a background section. In this background section, you can switch from one background to another, and once you have found one that fits your project, you can change the rotation so it will match the perspective of the image you are currently creating. At the end, with Twinmotion, we can export 4 different types of media. So we have the image, we already saw that. After that, we have the panorama up to 8K resolution. We also have an online platform where you can chain those panorama and create a virtual visit of your project that you can share with your clients on a smartphone or a tablet. It's just a basic web link. After that, we have the video and actually the 360 video. And finally, we have what we call the BeamMotion though. So the BeamMotion is a standalone exe file. Is basically something you can send to your clients. It doesn't require Twinmotion. It has a dedicated UI. It's just an immersive way to travel around the project without the UI of Twinmotion. So that's it for the first part of this presentation. In the second part here, I will introduce what's new in this V2 update. So with this update, our main focus was to respond to our community. With Twinmotion, we are really listening to our different channels, Facebook, Twitter, our forum, or our support platform, and we really want to hear what our user has to say. And based on all the feedback that we retrieve from all these different platforms, this is based on this feedback that we choose which feature we want to bring to our community. So this is some of the features that we introduced with this V2 update, and I will show you a few of them directly inside Twinmotion. So for example, the first one is the environment option. So if I switch back to Twinmotion, the environment option was the most requested features. We can find these features into the Nature tab, Weather, and now we have a setting button that gives a lot of possibility. For example, changing the sun power, changing the ambient power if you want to slow down the power of your ambient lighting. You can do that. We can raise a bit the global illumination, the real-time global illumination. We can use the white balance to make your image more warm or more cold. So just a lot of features that we wanted to bring to our community because they asked us for them. Next thing we have done is all the particle system. So back in Twinmotion, if I maybe just come around the small pond over here, the particle system is just inside our library, particles, and here we have added some small fire, more for the interior, some waterfall, some water for the shower. We have added also some small fog bank that allow the user to really quickly prototype things, because Twinmotion is as well a prototype tool. It allows you to really quickly test different things, different approach. So here, in just a few seconds, I've switched from my sunny daylight to this foggy, rainy day, and it just takes me a few seconds to create that. And it allows you, as I said, just to make different iterations, make different propositions on the project. Next thing that we have is the overdraw render option. So this is a big feature. So to show you that, let me just come inside my project. So the overdraw option is an option to enhance the reflection inside Twinmotion. But to explain you the overdraw option, I first have to explain you how the reflection works in a real-time solution like Twinmotion. So the reflection, how it works, everything that you have inside the reflection is what it is currently present inside the viewport. So for example, here, the blue screen that you have here, if I start to look down, once it disappears from my viewport, it will not be present anymore inside my reflection. It's a way the real-time application optimized the viewport, because it will be too heavy to render the whole scene in real time at any frame. So what we do is with the overdraw option, let me just position my camera like this. I will actually come to the export section, select the image we just created here. I will export this first image without the overdraw, and I will make a second export with the overdraw at 100%. here we go. So what the overdraw does, so this first image was generated without the overdraw. So here, once you don't have anymore the information of the geometry, it is replaced by a skylight. This is just the skylight that you have behind the glass over here. And with the overdraw option, it calculates extra pixel on the left, on the right, at the top, at the bottom, and it puts all this information inside the reflection, and then it crops the image at the resolution you have set up. So it's just a way to just to enhance the reflection. Back into the slide, we have made a huge pass onto the save. So now we have an automatic save that you can set up. You can set up the interval, the number of save, and you can set up the folder. We also have the incremental save. So if you have your project in just one button, you can incremental save your project under another name. We have also now a batch export that allows you to export all your different media at once. So you select your image, you select your panorama, you select your video, and you export everything together. Now we are also compatible with Atlantis 6.5. So it's just into the import panel. You can import FBX, OBJ, SketchUp file, but now you can import Atlantis file. We have also made a huge pass on the apply mode. So to show you that, let me just load another Twinmotion project. So yes, let me just come back to Twinmotion while it finishes loading my my second project. So this second project has been done in ArchiCAD. So it's one of the demo scene, I think. It's the Venezuela library. So usually working with CAD software, you always end up having each piece of your geometry detached from one to another, like this piece of glass I have right here. That means that when I'm dragging a material from the library, before in Twinmotion we were into what we call the apply to object mode. This was the only mode that was in the software. And when you were dragging a material from the library to the viewport, you were applying this material only to this specific object. But now we have what we call the replace material option. Basically what it will do, it will replace the white material, the previous material, by the new one you are dragging from the library. So it's just a way to enhance the rapidity of the workflow working with CAD data. After that, we have added the water materials. Indeed, it wasn't present into Twinmotion 2018, so it was really requested by our user, so we have added the water materials. We also have added some interior plants and some person with reduced mobility. So if I switch back to Twinmotion, the plants, you can find them into the furniture section, home, living room, and here you have a plants folder. And same as the tree, just a basic drag and drop. It's just to show you that we keep working on the library to enhance them, to add more content to them. And finally, to create, I already show you how to create a person on a wheelchair, but we can even animate them. So for example, here I will come to the urban section, custom pass. Same as before, I will use my pen to create a pass. Let me just put my pass on the back over here. So by default, with the custom pass, it puts a small box, a white box, 1 meter large. We can change a few things, like for example, the speed, the delay at the start. And now what I can do is just come to the character section, human. I'll just drag Adil onto my Dropbox here. I will select him back, and I will just choose the proper animation, which is the disable one. And as you can see here, in just a few clicks, I have created this person in a wheelchair. So what next? What next? We have the next page. So this is a few features I can't really show you, I'll just talk over it. So for example, now we are supporting the VR controller. Before we were compatible just with the VR headset, but now we are compatible with both the headset and the controller for the Vive, the Oculus, and the HP One, and actually all the VR headsets that use Steam VR. We know how physics in editor, so while you are working on Twinmotion, you can enable physics that puts you on the ground. It's really useful when you are trying to create image or video at the height of a human being. We have added a few options of the materials, some technical options, so I won't go over it. Now we have the GI on Mac. It was a huge feature because in Twinmotion 2018 there was a limitation of the Unreal Engine that cancelled this feature, and now we bring it back to Mac. We have also added the statistic panel that had a bunch of stats regarding the poly count, the memory it used, the performance of your computer. And then we have made a huge optimization pass on the 360 export, so for both the panorama and the 360 video. And also some optimization on the sky, so especially for the real time, so for when you are working on Twinmotion or when you are in the BeamMotion mode. We have mixed a lot of optimization regarding this. So I think that ends this presentation. We will switch to GoToWebinar now for a Q&A session, and we'll take time to answer all of your questions. So see you now in GoTo.